Welcome to the Amazon Investor Coalition podcast. Let's dive in.
You asked me to take a minute, to introduce myself, tell a bit about my my story, and I am a biologist by first degree, which then got interested in economics, and I went to the US. I studied economics, and then I settled by something in between the domains of the biological sciences and the economic sciences, and that has helped me to really follow different conversations and to understand different point of views, and being able, as often as possible, being able to bridge positions and find common ground. I work for the UN, Environment Program, and I am the global team leader of the REDD+ unit in my agency. We are about a team of 25 people distributed in Asia Pacific, Africa, Latin America, and Europe. What I'm about to present is the work we are doing in forest conservation and forest restoration. I will present you an initiative that we are developing. I'll tell you a bit about REDD+. I will tell you also about the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration and how these things come together, and several options that the private sector, the philanthropic sector could choose to support these efforts. So with that, and if technology helps me, I'll try to share my screen, and if things are going okay, you should be seeing now a green gigaton of ambitions.
Yep. You do. Yep.
Perfect. So, why forest? I'm taking a minute to show this slide, or even less, depending on the audience. I don't know many of you, but in these very extraordinary times, I find useful to remind myself about why I am working in the forestry sectors among all potential sectors in climate change. And that is why, because the contribution of forests to climate change is enormous. As the graph says, if forest were a country, the emissions would be above those of the European Union. So the sector matters. It is not a minor one. Second thing that I often, again, I remind myself is that why now? Why forest now? And the simple response is that we are running out of time. I was a young man when there was the Rio conference in 1992, and then some things that we were discussing at the moment, the frequency of fires, for example, losing large chunks of the Arctic ice. Those things, I remember, they looked so far into the future, but not any longer. They actually look much closer now, and I do believe, and many people do as well, that we have about a decade to change direction of travel before before we really undertake a very risky gamble with the global climate. Something that I wanted to share with you, one initiative is what we call the Green Gigaton REDD Plus initiative. This basically is putting together a public-private funding coalition to accelerate substantially the investment in forest conservation and forest restoration. A gigaton, I don't know how many of you are familiar with this kind of metrics, but just for the purposes of comparison, the emissions of Germany in 2018 were about 1.77 gigatons. So it was a bit above 2/3 of a gigaton. So that's the volume of investment that we want to unlock. As I said, it's a public-private initiative with it has a substantial contribution from strong NGOs. So it is governments, it is what we want to make it governments, the UN system. We have other partners like Environment Defense Fund, Emergent, Forest Trends, Windrock. So it's a very solid family of like-minded organizations. We want to send a very strong signal to those countries and jurisdictions with forests at risk. The signal is that there is funding for this. We need action on the ground. If you can commit to this action, we can bring the financing for it. We have some, we work at the global level. You know, carbon is it's quite a global phenomenon. However, we have our focus of interest. I would say that Amazon is one of them. It is not only conservation of forest, it is also restoration of forest that has been degraded. And again, we are trying to think big. For example, the Green Great Wall of Africa, a massive restoration program, is something that we are looking at. Finally, building back better and greener. You may have heard about this. It is the idea that getting out of the COVID economic depression actually will require substantive injection of public funds, but we don't want to go back to the same situation as we were before. We want to use this opportunity to promote a different kind of world, and one in which forest conservation and restoration have a major role. Okay, I will, let me see the time. We don't work at a very small scale. We don't really invest in small forestry projects. We work at the level of entire jurisdictions, and by jurisdictions, it can be a country or it can be a subnational unit big enough. And by big enough, I mean above a couple of million hectares. Jurisdictional REDD Plus is one of our platforms to do these investments. Well, actually, it is the main platform to do the investment. What is REDD Plus? And again, I don't know how many of you are familiar with this, but in very simple terms, REDD Plus is a mechanism that it was agreed at the convention, or better said, a policy framework, by which we provide incentives to countries or subnational jurisdictions for forest conservation and restoration. These 5 bullet points are the things that you can do in REDD+. Pretty much comprises an ample range of options: conserving forest, slowing down the degradation of forests, sustainably management of forest, and forest restoration. And jurisdictional, again, means that we can do all of the above at larger scale. Why a jurisdictional approach? I mean, why working at larger scale? That is something that is important for us, and if you are planning about investing in forest conservation and restoration, it might also be important for you. It has to do with the environmental, social, and accounting integrity of your investment. At the simplest level, it has lower transaction costs. It's better to invest at larger scale. Accounting integrity is much safer in the sense that when we account for carbon, and if that is something of interest to you, then there is just one way to account that has been approved by the jurisdiction, in terms of, instead of different projects scattered in it. It provides a much better position to have buffers that will account for reversals, which means you were protecting a forest today, next year it was burned, and leakage, something that there was a question in the presentation before. We try to protect this chunk of forest, and then the drivers move to the forest nearby. Also, the issue of additionality, which is, again, is important for some investors, whether what you are doing is actually additional, that the results you are expecting would have not been possible in the absence of your investment. And a jurisdictional approach allows you to put all the key stakeholders into a single decision-making process. Within REDD+, I mentioned that our main focus is on conserving forests. That should be the first priority. But at the same time, there are ample opportunities to restore forest that has been degraded. And in this domain, in the domain of forest restoration, I wanted to share with you something that is going to happen now from 2021, which is the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration. It is based on a resolution of the UN General Assembly. It goes beyond forests to encompass other types of ecosystems. But it is providing a very powerful political umbrella to different efforts that we see on the ground and from donors and other funders to support forest restoration at scale. So again, we have a Green Gigaton, UN REDD. REDD+ is a main vehicle in which we have different types of activities in forests. In terms of a political umbrella, the UN Decade is a really powerful platform to support our efforts. And this is my last slide. If you want to join the effort, if you are a private investor, or if you belong to a philanthropic organization, what is that you could do in in this domain. Well, first of all, we would like to see your name joining what we call the Green Gigaton Red Plus initiative. We are planning a number of public events, not confirmed yet. Perhaps the first one will be in mid-November. Then definitely we will be in the UN Environment Assembly in February 2021, and then we want to be at the COP. So join us if you want to support this initiative. Second, if you're going to invest in forest conservation, make public your purchase investment commitment. You may choose some preferred jurisdiction that for any reason is important to you. We are in conversations with other actors in the private sector area that are willing to commit. For example, in the form, we will invest in a given jurisdiction. We will contribute X number of tons at this given price with these social and environmental safeguards as a condition. So make public that. We can help you with the platform to do it. By doing that, you help us leverage other money. We are in conversation with public donors from governments, in which if we can bring funding from non-governmental sources, then we can leverage that to bring additional funds.
2 minutes.
If you work with us, you can safeguard your contribution through solid technical and brokerage support. This family of like-minded organizations, the UNEP, Emergent, EDF, others are extremely solid, and we will not be working in areas in which we don't see integrity as a core part of an initiative. Finally, by joining us, be part of this global policy dialogue, these conversations, these forums in which we plan to announce this. This is where global policy is being made. So make your voice be heard and be part of these events. Thank you so much, Jonah, for this time and opportunity, and I'm open for questions.
To learn more about our mission and join the coalition, visit www.amazoninvestor.org. Remember to like, comment, and share.